Welcome back. Glad you could join me again. Sam the electrician here, talking about Alberta separation and Western independence. Today I want to talk about the money. A very important topic for a lot of people. I just want to start off by saying that the naysayers and the globalists and the federalists, they're all going to try to scare Albertans. They know it's our weak point. It's going to cost more. That's what they're going to say. It's going to cost more. There won't be as much value added. We'll end up losing money to pay for all these services that you want to take away from the federal government and hand to the Albertan government. It's going to cost more. That's what you're going to hear over and over again. I saw an interview today with Mayor Nenshi, and that's what he was saying. They're all going to say it. And that is the one way to put the fear into Albertans, that's for sure. But quick look at the numbers shows that that's not necessarily the case. We're going to have our experts working on it, people that know the economy, people that know the numbers. Some preliminary ideas that have been floated around out there is that if Alberta left, we'd have to take our share of the federal debt, which is sitting right now at 768 billion. We're 10% of the population, so a rough number would be 76.8 billion. Fair enough if that's what it comes to after negotiations, etc., whatever it's going to look like. I'm just floating ideas here today, so if you don't agree, leave a comment. If you agree, whatever, it's good. So let's go with those numbers. So we take our portion of the Canadian federal debt at 76.8 billion, and we as a province decide that it's important for us to actually prioritize and put money into paying that off. It could take 15, 20 years to pay off or more. But the fact is that it would be slowly being paid off. Whereas right now, in contrast, we have a federal government, minority as it may be. The next one that gets in probably won't be a minority, that for some reason seems to be addicted to unbridled spending and deficits as far as the eye can see. They don't even have an idea of when they would bring a yearly budget back into balance, let alone start paying off the debt. So if we were to stay in the country, then our portion of the debt is still there, and because we pay a larger portion through equalization payments and all that, then we would be saddled with an even larger debt to pay. That's pretty obvious to anyone who takes a look at it. They take more money out of our province than any other province, and so we would just be saddled with this unending, growing, never-ending debt that just there's no plans to get a hold of it. I'm old enough to remember the Klein years when every Albertan got a $400 check, man, woman, and child, with our surplus because we had paid off all our debt and we made a bunch of money. And it was decided by the government and by the people that the people know better how to spend their own money than the government does. And every single person in Alberta was just citizen of Alberta was issued a check for $400. That was a great time to be alive when we actually had a fiscal responsibility, which all governments seem to have thrown out the window on all levels, municipal, provincial, and federal. So anyway, if you look at the numbers, just a quick glance at the internet shows that provincial revenues here in Alberta are 50 billion a year. If we could get a fair price for our oil, it would be a lot higher than that. I didn't do the numbers on that because they're very subjective, but you can add a few billion a year easily. And just in federal income tax, I believe the numbers for 2018 or 19 was 12 billion that the federal government takes from Albertans in federal income tax. So that right there is 72 billion in a year without a fair price for our oil. You know, so it doesn't take a genius to see that the numbers can easily be exaggerated by all these people on the news. And you know, if you stop paying the federal government 12 billion, well, then there's 12 billion that we could put into managing our own affairs. And I don't believe that managing a pension fund cost 12 billion a year. I don't, you can't ever convince me of that. It couldn't. And if it is, then they're paying the wrong people, and we'll find people who will do it for less. The other thing that we would do as a province is sell the oil, create or what I would like to see, sorry, I'll backtrack a bit, what I would like to see done as a province, and what I would insist on in any sort of way that I could, and I would get the word out for people, is this idea of building a fund, kind of like Norway, and putting money into it over a 20 or 30 year period until we had so much money in that fund that not only would we be debt free, the fund would create interest, so much interest. You could grow the fund so large with our oil revenues that the interest on the fund that we would be lending to other countries, the interest we would generate would be enough to run the province or country or republic or whatever you wanted to call it. Hopefully a republic at that point. It would take a republic to make a plan like that work. But you think about it, the province would live like a rich person. Very rich people do not touch their principal. They make money, their money makes money through interest and investments. We could do the same. Norway did. Every citizen of Norway is worth $1 million in their fund. If we could grow a fund that large, then we would have a way to fund the province above and beyond the oil. So let's say in a mythical future that we probably won't live to see, people my age, where the world does get off oil, well, we would still have the money making means to support the province and keep running the province as we transition to different sectors of the economy. So I mean, it's all doable. They're going to stand in the way. They're going to try to stop us. They're going to try to make us fearful of the economic repercussions of the of separation, of even a greater move towards independence. They're going to try to stop us because big business and federalists and globalists don't like change. They don't want change. They are set up on the top of the hierarchy right now. They don't want to see any change, and they'll go along to get along with the rest of the globalists, and they'll just take what Trudeau on Ontario dishes out to us. Whereas us on the grassroots, the people, we don't want to be dictated to anymore by them. So we just have to make it happen. So thanks for joining me again today. Probably make another video again tomorrow, talking about the Wexit rally on Saturday. If anybody was there, leave some comments. Let me know how it went. I was sick, so I couldn't actually make it. I was pretty disappointed about that, but it is what it is. And yeah, take it easy.